Once again, there'll be no local stops at 72nd. You gotta stop at 81st. No, we're not. It's overcrowded. We gotta stop at 81st.
Better than any other day.
To realize that this is an issue that can't be ignored, so you gotta, walk with your convictions and show up at the rallies and pay attention to what's going on and see and heard.
My name is Beatrice Brun.
I actually came from California and I stayed there for a year, and I was so amazed how they have these 3 different bags, like green and for recyclables and for the trash. And they have this bag, like green thing for compost, and they do it everywhere. And it's like you cannot walk on the street with the plastic bags. Like people look at you.
Wow.
Yeah, and they find you. You have to buy it. And I think New York City is starting that program. I don't know when, but they will be charging like 10 cents for plastic bags. So people will be aware and they'll bring their own bag. Yeah.
Maybe like natural food stores like Whole Foods or Trader Joe's. I know they use paper bags, but just kind of letting other kind of businesses know, because ultimately the business of the plastic making bag is a business. So it's like, if we say no to them, then that business shuts down. So they have to have like a really good reason, like an alternate way, because that's someone's work too. That's someone's job too.
If you could be in the climate march, would you go?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yes. I have to.
Can you tell me a little bit about your knowledge of what's going on in the environment and yourself as a business owner, how it affects you?
We have to save the environment.
Because you're a business owner.
You have to use a lot of bags, a lot of paper bags or plastic. That's the way to save the environment. Where are you going, my man?
In California they have a ban. In some of the counties that people can't use plastic bags. Because plastic in general.
Talking about last year to come up with a law about the bags here too, but I don't know what happened.
What would you
using bags.
What would you do as a business owner? How would you change?
Recommend customers not to using bags anymore.
Yeah.
People have to change the way they live. Individuals have to change their lifestyle and realize that for the sake of the planet, they're going to have to make a few very small sacrifices.
Get down, revolution in this town. Rise up, get down, revolution in this town. Rise up, get down, revolution in this town. Rise up, get down.
We need to pass climate legislation, and we promote a particular legislation which is a carbon tax that is returned to Americans as a monthly dividend check. And so it's a tax, the government doesn't keep the money. The government takes the money in order to increase the price of carbon so that the cost of burning fossil fuels is reflected in our price, in what we pay for it. And then the money goes back in equal payments to every family in the country.
As long as oil has been available, it has increased the prosperity of the world enormously. The leading world nations, health has increased, lifespans have increased, food production has increased. Everything you can think of has improved. Nothing's perfect, so we're not going to argue that. There's room to do better, but there is no alternative energy at this point. There's no alternative supply that can replace fossil fuels, for the simple reason that things like solar, sun does not shine at night. It's not going to shine at night. There's no batteries that are sufficient to hold enough energy to replace what's made by power companies and meet the legal demands that all power companies have to meet.
In
Alaska specifically, we have enormous wind potential. And there's also, surprisingly, even though in the winter it's very dark there, we have enormous solar potential as well.
I just spoke to a gentleman that is pro fossil fuel. He actually said that solar and wind doesn't necessarily work.
We have the technology to store these energy sources and to be able to sustain ourselves through the winter, through times where, this energy is not immediately being used. So yeah, there's a lot of geothermal capacity in Alaska as well. There are plenty of other energy sources that are renewable and safer and better for our climate and better for our people. Germany is a great example of that, right? More than 25% of their energy is renewable now. And that is a great example of what this country can accomplish. I'll say that, unfortunately, the fossil fuel industry is very tied in with their bottom line. It is in their best interest to make sure that we are drilling and looking for all of these and extracting and all of these dated energy sources. It's in their best interest to keep saying that all of these other ways that we know that we have evidence that they work, to say that they're faulty, to say that there's something wrong with them or that they don't work. But there's plenty of evidence to say that they do.